Think and Grow Rich by Dr. Napoleon Hill. Chapter 1, Secret of Success Part C. Mr. Darby's encounters were normal and sufficiently basic, yet they held the answer to his fate throughout everyday life, consequently they were as imperative, to him, as life itself. He benefited from these two sensational encounters, since he broke them down, and found the exercise they taught. However, what of the man who has neither the time, nor the tendency to consider disappointment in search of information that may prompt achievement? Where, and how is he to learn the specialty of changing over thrashing into venturing stones to circumstance? In answer to these inquiries, this book was composed. The appropriate response required a portrayal of 13 standards, yet keep in mind, as you read, the appropriate response you might be looking for, to the questions which have made you contemplate over the abnormality of life, might be found as far as you could tell, through some thought, plan, or reason which may spring into your brain as you read. One sound thought is that one needs to make progress. The standards depicted in this book contain the best, and the most down-to-earth of all that is known, concerning available resources of making valuable thoughts. Before we go any further in our way to deal with the portrayal of these standards, we trust you are qualified to get this significant proposal. At the point when wealth start to come, they come so rapidly, in such extraordinary wealth, that one miracles where they have been covering up during every one of those lean years. This is an astonishing explanation, and even more so, when we take into thought the prevalent view, that wealth comes distinctly to those who try sincerely and long. At the point when you start to think and develop rich, you will see that wealth starts with a perspective, with definiteness of direction, with almost no difficult work. You, and each other individually, should be keen on realizing how to gain that perspective which will pull in wealth. I went through a quarter century in research, breaking down additional than 25,000 individuals, since I, as well, needed to know how rich men become that way. Without that exploration, this book couldn't have been composed. Here consider an exceptionally huge truth, viz., the business discouragement began in 1929, and proceeded to an unequaled record of pulverization, until at some point after President Roosevelt entered office. At that point the downturn started to blur into nothingness. Similarly, as a circuit repairman in an auditorium raises the light so steadily that murkiness is changed into light before you understand it, so did the spell of dread in the brains of the individual steadily blur away and become confidence. Watch intently, when you ace the standards of this reasoning, and start to adhere to the directions for applying those standards, your budgetary status will start to improve, and everything you contact will start to change itself into an advantage for your advantage. Unimaginable? Not in the least. One of the principal shortcomings of humankind is that the normal man's nature is outlandish. He knows all the standards which won't work. He knows all the things which are impossible. This book was composed for the individuals who look for the standards which have made others fruitful, and are eager to stake everything on those guidelines. A considerable number of years back I bought a fine word reference. The primary thing I did with it was to go to unimaginable, and conveniently cut it out of the book. That would not be an indiscreet thing for you to do. Achievement goes to the individuals who become achievement cognizant. Disappointment goes to the individuals who impassively permit themselves to turn into disappointment cognizant. The object of this book is to enable all who look for it, to get familiar with the craft of adjusting their perspectives from disappointment awareness to progress cognizance. Another shortcoming found in out and out such a large number of individuals, is the propensity for estimating everything, and everybody, by their own impressions and convictions. Some who will understand this, will accept that nobody can think and develop rich. They can't think as far as wealth, on the grounds that their ideal propensities have been saturated with neediness, need, hopelessness, disappointment, and annihilation. These disastrous individuals help me to remember an unmistakable Chinese, who came to America to be taught in American manners. He went to the College of Chicago. One day President Harper met this youthful Oriental on the grounds, halted to visit with him for a couple of moments, what's more, asked what had dazzled him, similar to the most perceptible normal for the American public. "Why," the Chinaman shouted, "the strange inclination of your eyes. Your eyes are off inclination. What do we say about the Chinese? We will not accept what we don't comprehend. We stupidly accept that our own constraints are the correct proportion of restrictions. Certainly, the other individual's eyes are off inclination, since they are definitely not equivalent to our own." A huge number of individuals take a gander at the accomplishments of Henry Portage, after he has shown up, and begrudge him, in light of his favorable luck, or karma, or virtuoso, or then again whatever it is that they credit for Portage's fortune. Maybe one individual in each 100,000 knows the mystery of Passage's prosperity, to discuss it, as a result of its straightforwardness. A solitary exchange will outline the mystery impeccably. A couple of years back, Passage chose to deliver his now celebrated V8 engine. He decided to assemble a motor with the whole 8 chambers cast in one square, and taught his specialists to deliver a structure for the motor. The structure was set on paper, however the specialists concurred, to a man, that it was essentially difficult to project an 8-chamber gas motor square in one piece. Portage stated, "Produce it at any rate." Yet, they answered, "It's outlandish." Also, the individuals who do know are excessively unassuming, or excessively hesitant. "Proceed," Portage instructed, "and remain at work until you succeed regardless of how much time is required." The architects proceeded. There was nothing else for them to do, if they were to stay on the Passage staff. A half-year passed by, nothing occurred. An additional half-year passed, and as yet nothing occurred. The engineers gave each possible intention to convey a shot the requests, however the thing appeared to be not feasible, unthinkable. Toward the year's end Portage checked with his specialists, and again they educated him they had discovered no real way to complete his requests. "Proceed," said Passage, "I need it, and I'll have it." They proceeded, and afterward, as though by a stroke of enchantment, the mystery was found. The Passage assurance had won again. This story may not be portrayed with minute precision, yet the whole furthermore, substance of it is right. Derive from it, you who wish to think furthermore, develop rich, the mystery of the Passage millions, in the event that you can. You'll not need to look far. Henry Portage is a triumph, since he comprehends, and applies the standards of progress. One of these is want, comprehending what one needs. Recall this Passage story as you read, and select the lines in which the mystery of his dynamite accomplishment have been depicted. In the event that you can do this, in the event that you can lay your finger on the specific gathering of standards which made Henry Passage rich, you can rise to his accomplishments in practically any calling for which you are fit. You are the ace of your destiny, the skipper of your soul, on the grounds that when Henley composed the prophetic lines, "I am the ace of my destiny, I am the chief of my spirit," he ought to have educated us that we are the bosses of our destiny, the chiefs of our spirits, since we have the capacity to control our considerations. He ought to have disclosed to us that the ether wherein this little earth drifts, in which we move and have our being, is a type of vitality moving at an incomprehensibly high pace of vibration, and that the ether is loaded up with a type of all-inclusive force which adjusts to the idea of the contemplations we hold in our psyches, and impacts us, in regular ways, to change our contemplations into their physical proportionate.